Maybe you're just looking to become more financially prepared in life. You want to spend time with people who are financially prepared in their life, or you're never going to you're never going to get yourself over there.
So you need to create those communities, and everybody has their own unique challenges, struggles. But like I said, like Ashley said, there's tons of resources, but don't let it overwhelm you, right?
But you can surround yourself with negative people that are not going to help you grow into that. You can surround yourself with people who won't hold you accountable, which I would eliminate from my life immediately. I always say that we love our people harshly.
Hello, and welcome to Financial Mastery Simplified. I am your host, Jacqueline or Jax Crider, and we are trying to take all kinds of things that touch the financial space and simplify them down. Today we have a guest, Ashley Coravelle. She is a very dear friend of mine, and we have been both in the mortgage space for what seems like lifetimes at this point. And so I'll let her introduce herself a little bit, talk about, kind of her journey and a little bit about herself, and we'll get going.
Hey, Ashley Corvo here. I run the Complete Mortgage team out of a little tiny Cajun country town of South Louisiana. And I've been doing this for over half my life, 19 years at this point. And I really specialize in helping people make the right financial choice for their home purchase as well as their business. I also do business coaching through my coaching platform that really allows people to build a business that serves their life. And that level of success and what they're looking for is different for every single one. So I kind of tailor that approach to really where they are.
Yeah, awesome. And so, what is it that has you excited about being on Financial Mastery Simplified today? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to mine our database and find the little gold nuggets of the people that are around our lives and how they can support you in your journey, whatever that looks like, as well as how you can support their business. If maybe you're not a business owner and you just want to support the people that are in your world. I always say that God called me to love people. It's really what he called all of us to do. And we get lost in that sometimes. And we think it has to be this big grand gesture of things. And sometimes it's just little things to love on the people that are in our world on the everyday kind of game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people discount that, when they're looking to do anything, right? Like if you're not a business owner, that most of the time somebody in your circle, I promise, they touch that space and they're probably going to care a whole lot more about you than just some random person that you might, find on the internet or is running an ad on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So, how would you best suggest, people go about, whether they be business owners or people who are not running businesses, kind of finding the people that might be able to help them save financially or make better decisions financially too, right?
Yeah, I think when you're a business owner or you're starting a business and want to join that, I always say that birds of a feather flock together, right? You want to find people with similar mindsets. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the same space or the same season of your life, right? Sometimes we get so in our mind of oh, that person doesn't have time to help me, where me and you both run pretty large businesses. And I always have the time to help somebody who's either getting into the business, maybe it's the mortgage space, or just getting into business themselves. If I can have some little impact in their business to help them avoid some of the heartbreak of business, I want to do that for them. And I have never had anybody that I've approached in the business sense of hey, I'm thinking about this, tell me, oh no, I can't help you, right? I'm sure it's out there. I have been so lucky to only surround myself with servant-minded people, and because that's who I am. And so I naturally navigate to that. So it makes it easier. And so I think you just have to really get yourself around those types of people and be really conscious in it. So maybe you're not a business owner. Maybe you're just looking to become more financially prepared in life. You want to spend time with people who are financially prepared in their life, or you're never going to get yourself over there. So I think it's just surrounding yourself with those people and being really vulnerable to where you are.
Absolutely.
Like when you're prideful and you know everything, then you're not open to learning what other people bring to your life.
I think it's interesting, this whole, kind of shift we've had in society of like where we aren't really utilizing our network. And sometimes it's not always locally, right? Sometimes it can be, like you and I, we're in totally separate states and we help each other, etc. But what kind of cracks me up is that a lot of times people are willing to be vulnerable and lay themselves bare in like these moms groups or these Facebook groups where they literally know no one, or they know maybe only a few people, because I think they fear that people are going to judge them. Like, if you're picking the right people for your circle, that should not be the case, right? Like, you should be able to lay bare and say, man, like, I'm struggling, right? Like, you and I were having that conversation the other day. I was having just like a moment of, man, it was a rough day. Like, I was not doing well. I wasn't, my mindset was kind of off, right? And I reached out to you, and like, we just sort of kind of had this dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, I think, forget that if you are surrounding yourself with the right people, if you find people who are willing to level up and support you in that way, you can be vulnerable. You don't have to go to random strangers to find that level of vulnerability and find that level of help, right?
Yeah. I think like I have a pretty public social life, right? You can find me on any social media platform and follow along with me, right? And you're going to see the good and the bad. You're going to see the highlight reel and like the me struggling, right? I really do my best to be transparent and authentic to who I am on my social media. However, that's far and few in between. Most people just put the highlight reel of their life out there. And so when you're trying to find connections with people, even if it's in your day-to-day life, you're just seeing their public persona, their public social media, and you think that mom that you see on the drop-off line or only at the soccer games, like she has it all together because she's only placing her highlight reel out there. And that's totally fine. If you don't want to be vulnerable enough to put like your good, bad, and ugly out there, cool. But I promise you, every person, man or woman, behind the scenes, when they feel comfortable and safe, are having bad days. No one's immune to like bad days or struggles in their life. Just not everyone is so comfortable being vulnerable out there publicly, whether it's on social media or at the soccer field, right? So like, I'm okay with that. But what I know, because of how I operate my own life and my business, everybody has a struggle. And when you open up, you're going to find your people, and you are going to give value to them and they'll give value to you. And it may not be like, you don't always know what you're walking into. A lot of it's unexpected, right? You start talking and then you get this unexpected little like words of wisdom to it that help improve your life, and you get to improve theirs. And like, that's a relationship. That's a connection that's worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I mean, I think a lot of people also discount, like you were talking about, tap your database. Don't be afraid to actually ask for what you want and what you need. Like the same day that I was having a rough day and I tapped you, a lot of you listeners may know of a person, or maybe you don't know, her name is Marley Jacks. And this is an individual that, yes, we have a connection, but we're not exactly like super close or anything like that. But the day that I was talking to you, there was a program that she was about to drop. And I was just having that vulnerable moment. And I just asked her, I was like, is this program that you're creating going to be what helps me kind of level up to where I need to be? Right? Is this something that I'm going to be able to utilize? And we were able to have like this dialogue where she gave me like a book suggestion, and she gave me a couple of different really good, nuggets, to your point, of wisdom, right? Maybe being farther down the path than I am in a different way in her business. And so a lot of times people forget that, like, if you're just not afraid to ask, if you're just not afraid to raise your hand and say, hey, I'm not exactly where I need to be. I see that maybe you have a little bit more together than me, or maybe you're in a little bit better of a place than me, or...
Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message from our sponsors.
Welcome to Financial Mastery Simplified, your go-to podcast for making smart money decisions. We break down complex financial topics into easy-to-understand advice you can use every day. Our experts cover everything from budgeting and saving to investing and retirement planning. We give you the tools to take control of your money and build the future you want. With Financial Mastery Simplified, you'll feel informed and empowered to make the best choices for your financial health. Tune in to Financial Mastery Simplified on your favorite podcast platform. Start your journey to financial confidence today. Welcome to House U, where we believe in the power of education. At House U, we're more than just a brand. We're your partner in home ownership, dedicated to educating, equipping, and empowering you every step of the way. Education is at the heart of everything we do. We offer comprehensive resources designed to make home ownership simple and accessible for all. From understanding mortgage options to mastering home maintenance, House U provides the knowledge you need to make informed decisions with confidence. We host workshops and seminars, bringing together experts and community members to share insights and build a stronger, more informed community. Because when you're educated, you're empowered. House U, home ownership made simple for all. Visit our website or contact us today to start your journey with House U. Empower yourself with knowledge and embrace the joy of home ownership.
Thanks for your patience. Now back to our conversation.
You seem to know this and I don't know this. A lot of people, and it's with anything, right? Whether you're running a business, because that's a big one. Like there's so many things you have to do now with the business that you don't necessarily know. Or if you're not, just in general life, right? There is so many resources out there if you're just not afraid to raise your hand. I mean, yes, you can go and you can Google search it and you can YouTube it and all those things, and those are great. But a lot of times you're right. Tap the actual human resources that are right there at your fingertips, be it online, in person, and find those people for you, right? Your tribe.
I always say that there's a benefit to having unlimited information. It also can be overwhelming. So regardless of what you're searching for, like there is more information out there than we ever have experienced before in our society. Me and you grew up in an age of our business where like there was limited internet resources when we started. I know I'm aging us a little bit.
It's okay.
There are literally limited resources back there. And now there are so many resources that I find it to simply be a poor excuse for people to be like, well, I don't know how to do this. There is zero excuse for you to say, I don't know, because there's so many resources. It can be overwhelming, which limits your ability to like sort through it and figure it out. But there's an unlimited amount. And if you're vulnerable, which is what we've been talking about, and then you like ask a person in your world that maybe you have a connection to or that's in your world, they will help you limit down the excess information that's going to work for you to change your life or your business.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, you and I, like, so just so you guys can understand, Ashley and I met through a coaching program, right? And like a community of like-minded individuals who basically wanted to make the mortgage space better, right? We wanted to make sure that we were leveling up, that we were pooling resources, that we were sharing things, etc. And that's exactly what you should do, not only in your space, but also outside of your space, right? And I firmly believe that you should do this regardless of what space you're in. And yes, stay-at-home mom, that means you too, because, right, like there is things that you're struggling with that maybe myself and Ashley, who are not stay-at-home moms, don't understand because we are not there. We're not in that space, right? So you need to create those communities, and everybody has their own unique challenges, struggles. But like I said, like Ashley said, there's tons of resources, but don't let it overwhelm you, right? Like go to somebody and say, hey, raise your hand and say, hey, I don't know exactly where to look. Like, where do I look? Can you help me do it? Or maybe they can point you in the right direction. And she's right. Most people, if they're coming from the right heart, and probably if you're listening to this, I would suspect that most of the people you're surrounding yourself are probably the right people. And if they're not, this is your wake up call to maybe cut some of those people out your life. Just kind of saying, right? That's maybe not who you need to be hanging out with or working on as you're trying to level yourself up in any capacity in life. But don't be afraid to just ask for the question, ask for the resource. And I mean, honestly, that's why I created this whole podcast, is because I myself, I like information, but I can get incredibly overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm ADHD. My brain runs a million miles a minute. I can go down a rabbit hole and spend 3 hours there. And then I'm like, what the heck did I just waste 3 hours on? When honestly, I can just pick up the phone, shoot a text, post something in a group that I'm a part of or whatever, right? And say, this is what I'm struggling with. Who can help?
Yeah. And so we talk about like the people that are around us, right? I'm all about like mining our database. I'm not going to go to an individual about financial advice if they don't have their financial house in order. Why are you getting advice on buying a home from somebody who's not a homeowner? Why are you getting advice from somebody who hasn't bought a home in the last 10, 15, 20 years, right? We talk about finances because that's the point of this and what we do for a living, but it's not just about that. I'm not going to go for marital advice from somebody in a toxic relationship.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm not going to get parenting advice from somebody who is parenting their child unlike a way that I want to parent, right? And so I think you just have to be cautious of where your advice comes from and give it what it's worth, right? They can have an opinion, but if it doesn't align with my lifestyle, I'm going to give it a little bit of thought and energy, if any at all. If it does align with me, then I'm going to give them a greater space in my mind to figure that part out, right?
Well, and I mean, the truth of the matter is a lot of times what happens is you're not necessarily asking for advice. Somebody is giving you their opinion, right? They hear that you're struggling with your marriage or you are looking to buy a house or you're looking to make a career move or whatever the heck it is, right? Doesn't matter. And my mom has a saying, and it's totally true. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one.
Yep.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that the opinion is the right thing. And sometimes that even means the people in your life that you love the most, right? I mean, they're not walking your path or not walking in your shoes. And I'm not saying that there's not a certain level of you need to maybe hear them out, maybe out of respect, right? If it's like a parent or kind of an authority figure in your life or in your space. But just because you hear them out does not mean you have to take it to heart, utilize that or whatever, right? You can seek out those better, to your point, sources of advice that actually do have knowledge in your space. And also, while we're on this topic, don't necessarily listen to what the media is spinning as well. Their whole goal is to do nothing but kind of create this sense of chaos and fear and like whatever's going to make it viral and want you to like read more and whatever. And fear is way better, like pay attention than the real like truth of the matter. So if you're wondering, okay, so I heard this, is this true? Ask somebody who is in this space. Right? I mean, we deal with that so much more than a lot of other spaces because there's so much misinformation around our space. People love to freak people out about housing, man.
Yeah. And so I think when it comes to like financial advice and what you should do, like you want to have, I always say, like I always work with my coaching clients, like we have to know where we are and you have to be really honest about where you are right now. And this can be in your business or in your personal life. You need to be really honest, take it all out. And sometimes that requires a third party to come in and look at it, right? So I've worked with my clients all the beginning of 2024 about like setting yourself up for financial success in 2024. And it was all about budgeting because I believe in this day and age where we slide our credit cards and our debit cards, it doesn't feel like real money. And then we don't know where our money goes at the end of the month. And so I partnered with somebody locally here to speak about this. And she offers a service that basically takes all of your bank accounts, credit cards, bank accounts, and puts your money in categories. So you can see without emotions, which money is very emotional to a lot of people, can see where your money's going. When we look at ourselves, we get blinders on and then we justify. Well, we're not going to count that expense because it was a one-time thing.
Right.
But like when it's a one-time thing 4 times a year, that's a habit. If it was a concert that I spent $1,000 on, we're not going to count that a part of my monthly budget. But if you go to concerts 4 times a year, it's now a part of your budget and spending plan, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you are just looking at it, just you have these blinders on and you can justify anything.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so it is important, whether you are talking about your personal finances and your spending plan, or on a higher level of all the way up to I want to start and grow a business, to have a third party come in that's not emotional about it, to give you a true perspective of where things are. So that's where you are. And then you have to figure out where you want to go. And people talk a lot about where they want to go as this like high level thinking without any timeline or expectation. It's just what they want. And then you got to figure out to go from like where you are to where you want to be. And that really is where we're talking about. Like, then you get people in your life to help you along that journey to make that happen.
Well, and a lot of this I think stems from lack of education, which is why I'm so big in the education space, just because we haven't been taught well on either how to budget, how to think about money, how to, set goals and things like that. And then a lot of it also has to do with, we have this very heavy distraction sort of culture right now because we are being bombarded, and it's so easy. I mean, I always call myself out because it is true. I am the world's worst about shopping and spending stupid amounts of money on the dumbest possible thing. But then at the end of the day, if I'm not reaching my goals, then I'm the one who's responsible for the fact that I didn't reach my goals because I decided to spend, $5 20 times over the course of the month and then ate away $100 of the money I was supposed to place somewhere else, right? Be it whatever it is, like whatever goal that I'm trying to reach and achieve. And I think there is actually another person that I've interviewed. Her name is Beth. We talk a lot about mindset and, money and things like that in that respect, because a lot of people, they eliminate out of the conversation when they're dealing with things like budgeting, how much your mental state goes into it. Because you're right. Brain is a very smart thing, guys, and you can literally justify away anything. Yep. Oh, it's just $5 here. It's just $400 there. It's just this and it's just that, until you turn around and there's like no money in your account, or you can't understand why you're drowning in debt, right? And it's super hard and it's super frustrating. But again, this goes back to touching and tapping those resources. There are people in your circle, I guarantee you, whether it be a professional or otherwise, who can help you with this.
Yeah.
Right?
And like, you can find a like-minded person to be accountable to one another to reaching that goal. And it doesn't have to be the same goal, but if you have identified that person in your network, and then you have been vulnerable enough to share your goal and then accountable to them along the way, you are much more likely to reach the levels, reach some level of success along the way with those things. But you can surround yourself with negative people that are not going to help you grow into that. You can surround yourself with people who won't hold you accountable, which I would eliminate from my life immediately. I always say that we love our people harshly. Like, when people are being hard on you, it's because they love you. When they are calling you out, it's because they love you. Somebody who allows you to not reach your potential, to make excuses, to pull you backwards, that is not someone who truly loves you. And so having people, the right people, understanding where you're going and holding you accountable is the way to move things in a positive direction.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, and again, like, this all goes back to, and it's interesting. So the more books that I read and the more time that I spend, doing things, you realize that literally like 80% of almost everything we do is mental. I mean, it is all a mindset and a mental shift. So when you tell yourself, and remember in the coaching program that we were both a part of, they said it all the time, right? The story you tell yourself the most is the story you believe the most. And the story you believe the most is the story you tell yourself the most. And when you say that out loud, you're like, wait, what? Basically, it means whatever you keep in your brain and you keep regurgitating that stuff, right? That story, that is what you teach yourself. And I'm telling you, it does not matter how smart or how, like where your IQ level is on this spectrum, this is the case. Because I have a lot of very intelligent people in my life who will convince themselves that a lot of things that are happening to them are happening because they just have bad luck.
Yep.
And for those of you who are not watching video wise, I put luck in parentheses because honestly, it's utter BS. Like life is going to happen and stuff is going to happen in your world and in your space. And that's the truth. But the truth of the matter is really, it's not luck. It's what you make of it. And it's how you choose to view that particular circumstance. Because I can promise you in the last 2 years of my life, I've had more what most people would consider bad things happen than I've had in probably the course of my 20 years. And I have had a more positive attitude that has still continued to move me forward than I would have been able to do even 5 years ago.
Yeah. And it's funny that you bring it up because that topic of our coaching program was the reason I joined the program, because it was absolutely life-changing for me and the people that I surrounded myself with, right? We don't have this, it's so awkward to talk to yourself in a positive way. Like we are our biggest critic. I am incredibly critical of myself. I hold myself to a very high standard. And when I don't meet that standard, which happens often, by the way, it has a huge physical impact on me.
Oh yeah.
That's not the same. That's not for everybody, but that is just how I have always operated. And it has taken a physical toll on my body for many, many years prior to this coaching program. And so when we joined the program, they used to teach this, right? And they would ask a room of 100 people to write down who you are. And they'd make you write it down. It was an exercise. They'd write down, they tell you, 3 things, 5 things, 10 things, 100 things, whatever. You'd write it down. And then they would ask for volunteers. It's very, very uncomfortable. And I did not volunteer.
Stand up and say it.
Yeah, you just stand up and I'm not volunteering any of that. But people would stand up and they would talk about who they hoped to be or who they wanted to be, but not who they are.
Right.
And that really is the point of the thing, right? That I want to be a good wife. I hope to be a good mother, instead of saying I am a good wife.
Right.
I am a good mother. It's not who you are today. It's who you're trying to be. If you're telling yourself, I hope to be wealthy one day, then one day is never going to come. When you change it to I am wealthy, then you are today and it will happen. Because the mind has to get there before the body's going to get there. And you really have to rewire your brain to start thinking about who I am and creating the conscious to catch up. Because if you say, I have the worst luck, bad luck's going to come your way.
Absolutely.
Every single time. Because you're calling out the bad luck.
Well, so it's interesting. So I'm also a member of a very high level coaching program that's outside of our space. It's just it's called a CEO table. And one of our main coaches, her name is Ursula Minchis. And one of the things she talks about is how powerful your subconscious is. Mm-hmm. So when you are speaking directly to your subconscious in your own voice about who you are, what you are looking to accomplish, what you're going to accomplish and all of these things, what happens is a very interesting shift. Not only do you feel better in general when you do that, right? I am these things and you're projecting that into yourself, right? Just like other people can project things on you, you can also project right onto yourself. But also your subconscious starts showing up and looking for those things. So if
those
you say,
opportunities.
Yeah, you basically start calling it into an existence. When people used to say that, I was like, wow, that's so hoo-hoo, whatever, I'm a hard work person. You got to earn it, baby, whatever. And I was like, what are they talking about calling it into existence? That sounds ridiculous. But it's true, because what happens is your subconscious starts looking for the opportunities.
Yep.
right? Like it starts looking to find what that is that you've said you are or you need. Like it starts looking for them and it starts finding them. And again, I thought this was kind of nuts, but I made this huge shift in the last 6 months, and all of a sudden things that I just was afraid to do, like for instance, anybody who's watched the very first episode of this podcast. So let's just tell you a little story. I was going to start this podcast at the end of 2024. That's what I told myself. I was like, yes, I want to start a podcast. I have a voice. I want to help people. I want to help them understand, some of the financial concepts and things that touch this space. It doesn't have to be complicated. It is obtainable for them. This is what I want, but I'm going to need some time to get everything set up, and I'm a perfectionist, so I need to be all the ways, woo. And so I reached out to the guy that I was the guest the very first time I was a guest on a podcast for, and it was Trevor. And this is what Trevor said. He's like, yeah, absolutely. I'll help you figure out starting a podcast. But we're going to do it next week. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what do you mean we're going to do it next week? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to tell you what you need to get. Like, there's just like one piece of software you need, and then we're going to do it next week. And I'm like, no, Trevor, I don't think you understand. I don't know the name of this podcast. I don't know what I'm like exactly going to talk about. Like I have a general idea, but I don't know exactly. And the truth of the matter is, he's like, no, you're just going to do it. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be what you need, necessarily all the things, but you're just going to do it. And when you start just like looking for those things and start just doing them, it just starts falling into place. And it's crazy how it works too.
Yeah. Yeah, you literally have to say it so you can show up, right? Show up for yourself doing it. And we will, like, it's human nature to talk yourself out of it. It's human nature to like fall back to what's comfortable. You really have to push yourself to do something different. And the easiest, like the easiest way is to like just say it, but it feels really hard and uncomfortable. But different cultures and different societies make this concept so much more normal, quote unquote.
For sure.
And so then it's easier for them, where I believe our society is a little bit different. And so when you start talking about who you are in a different way and you start talking positively to yourself, it will change your life for the better, and it will elevate you in a
Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message from our sponsors.
Imagine having the power to control your financial destiny, no matter where you start. Welcome to the Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform, where financial education is tailored to your unique journey. We cover everything you need, from basic budgeting and saving strategies to advanced investing and retirement planning. Learn at your own pace with lessons that match your level of experience. Whether you're a beginner or looking to enhance your financial knowledge, join our community of learners and benefit from shared insights and expert guidance. The Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform equips you with the skills and confidence to take charge of your financial future. Ready to master your finances? Enroll in our courses today at the Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform. Start your path to financial independence now.
Hello, and welcome to PBJ Mortgage, where your home ownership dreams become reality. Today, we want to share why choosing PBJ Mortgage is the right choice for your home financing needs. At PBJ Mortgage, we're built on a foundation of values that drive us every day. Our commitment to educate, empathize, and empower our clients sets us apart in the mortgage industry. Our clients are at the heart of everything we do, and their success stories speak volumes. With years of experience, our team possesses in-depth knowledge of the mortgage programs, ensuring you receive expert guidance and the best possible rates. We offer a diverse range of loan options to suit your unique needs, including conventional, FHA, VA, and more. No matter your situation, we've got a solution. At PBJ Mortgage, we pride ourselves on providing personalized service. Our dedicated loan officers are here to guide you every step of the way, making the process as smooth as making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We understand that time is of the essence, which is why we've streamlined our processes for efficiency and convenience. Transparency and clear communication are paramount. You'll always know where you stand throughout your mortgage journey. Reach out to us today to set up a call to discover your options. If you're ready to make your home ownership dreams a reality, contact PBJ Mortgage today. Let us empower you during this exciting journey. Phone number 4-693-733-107 www.pbjteam.com. Visit our website or give us a call to get started. We look forward to helping you secure your future home. PBJ Mortgage, where home begins.
Thanks for your patience. Now back to our conversation.
I'll say a wealthy way, not just maybe with your money. That's sometimes the goal, but it will just give you some abundance of being a little bit carefree about what people think, being a little more clear on what you want, being more certain of who you are. And that also has so many benefits that you can't even count them at the beginning.
Well, and let's talk for a minute. And I know this is not going to touch the men kind of that are maybe listening, because we can't speak to that aspect, right? We can only speak to being a woman. But I think as women, as a general rule, we're sort of taught not necessarily to, like, we are almost in a way taught to be overly critical and over, like, you know, being more perfectionist mindset and things like that. And I think a lot of times men are a little bit better at just stepping out there and not doing it perfectly and being like, hey, you know, I can do this. I'm going to be good at this. And the truth of the matter is that you can too. Like, but again, you just have to say it and look for it. And as you're speaking it into existence, to your point about finding the gold nuggets and like who your network is already, be it business or personal, those people will start coming to the top of your mind, or will start showing up in your space when you start asking for what you want and speaking it out loud. Right? I mean, we do this thing in the coaching program. I have to listen to it at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. It's a voice memo that I recorded myself, and it says how much money I want to make every single month. And it says, like, basically I say questions to myself. How easy is it for me to find this money? How easy is it, you know, and I listen to this, right? And it's me talking to my subconscious, and it's helping my subconscious like find the people and reach out to the people. And it's weird as hell, but it's very empowering, and it very much helps you in so many aspects and avenues of your life in ways that you never thought possible.
Yeah, I think that we always want to like leave people with like something to do, because a lot of times you listen to this and you're like, but what are they really talking about? What are they really asking me to do? What are they really telling me to do? Right. And I want to make sure like people are leaving with like, this is what I'm going to do. And, like a little bit of homework for everyone, right? Exactly. So I think when you write down 5 to 8 things that you want to accomplish in the next 12 months, like write them down. That's 5 to 8 things, write them down on a piece of paper, and then record a voice memo of you claiming those things, and then listening to it twice a day, at the beginning of your day and at the end of the day, right? So those are like 3 actionable items that will help with your mindset to really convince yourself that you're capable of reaching these things, okay? And they can be money goals, or they can be personal goals. And when you're listening to it over and over again, you are, like you said, you're going to find opportunities. And when things come along in your life to distract you away, when you listen to it that morning and then you get distracted, as life, as you said earlier, we are full of distractions, and then you listen to it at the end of the day, you're like, oh wow, I got distracted by that. And it helps course correct you to stay on target for your goals. And I think that's really important. And you're right, like I speak a lot to women because that's what God has called me to do, but I actually coach a lot of men in my business, which I find really strange, right? I never would have thought that, but I coach probably the majority of men than women, right?
Well, we are in a male-dominated field, in fairness.
Yeah, we're in a male-dominated field, and so I coach a lot of them, and they've become very vulnerable with me. I don't know why I feel safe to them, but they do, right? And they actually talk about things that have like enlightened me a lot, and the burden of men in our country that hold the weight of their families on them is so significant. We tend to forget that as women, that they hold the burden. Not all of them, but like still
Sure.
the majority of this in the country, they
Well, again, it
either
has to do with how they were raised, right?
how
Of like
they're raised. Like
right.
they were taught to be the provider. They were expected to be the provider. And then when they fall short on providing for their family, that's a burden. And
Right.
so then they come to a partner and they say, hey, I need you to pay half the bills, or I need you to do half this. Women pull that as ownership. Oh, he doesn't think I'm delivering enough. Instead of having a really honest, transparent thing to say, okay, I can meet you halfway over here, but this is what I need help with, right? Because we're so wired to be defensive instead of just having these open conversations. But I think there's a significant burden on men in our country to provide, and a significant level of defense with women when they feel like they're not meeting the partner. And so I think you just really have to like leave that at the door and have appropriate conversations to serve one another. And if you are serving your partner, and that could be your spouse or your friend or your business partner or your clients, whatever that, when you're serving them on a really high level and that's a priority, and they're serving you, everybody's getting their needs met. It's not, I'm going to take care of me and you take care of you, and then we'll see how this.
Right.
And that's the majority of our world works. If you just served others and allowed other people to serve you, everybody's needs are getting met. And if we just like change that mindset, which is how I operate now, but not always, it has light.
No, and I agree with you. I think a lot of times the division is real. There's like that, you know, and we're so in our own space, and we get in our own heads, right? And again, like, so the recent book that I read, and gosh, I've talked about it so many different times, I can't even describe, is Who Not How. Because a lot of times what people do not realize, it's not how you do something, it's who you know that can help you and make those connections, which is pretty much what we've been talking about almost like this entire episode. And that even goes like for your partners. And a lot of marriages are failing because people are trying to do all these very independent things, right? And you need to have like the separation of you having your own goals and like what you're trying to do and speaking to your own self-conscious and your own self, but then also meet with the other people in your life, be it spouses, you know, friends or whatever, and make sure that you guys are aligned and like, you know, trying to do what you can to help and serve one another, right? And take some of the burden off, because it's daunting to do it yourself. And not only that, but doing it yourself is depressing, because I will tell you, you will always fail.
Yep.
Because you just can't do it. I mean, and I'm one of those people because I'm kind of a neurodivergent individual. Like, I don't think like everybody else. And for my whole life, I've kind of got picked on either because I was small or because I didn't think like other people or whatever the reason was, right? And so I shied away and I sort of internalized for a long time and pulled back. And when I started just laying bare and not being afraid to be who I am, and knowing that some people that's going to attract them to me, and some people it is going to turn them away, but that's okay. It's okay to turn away the ones that are like not going to be my people, but that's super hard, you know, like, especially when you're taught to have everybody like you and you want everybody to be in your corner and blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most people, like I said, if you follow me, like, you know, like I'm a single mama now, and I look back, because hindsight's always 2020.
Oh yeah.
When you're looking in the rear view, right? And I talk a lot. I have a great relationship with my ex-husband. We co-parent really well, and we take care of each other so much better now that we're not married. But again, hindsight's always 2020. And I wish at the beginning of our life together, we could have been more clear about who we were and what we wanted. And I think if we had that clarity when we were in our early 20s to do that, we probably could have figured things out together. But we were not able to be vulnerable about who we were and what we wanted. And then like we couldn't figure out how to partner together along the way. And so it rose to a level, and like when I met him, he knew my career was a top priority. and that it would always come before the family. That was very clearly laid out. And the problem occurred once we were married and we had children. My children came first. Like everything got shifted around and we just couldn't get things back on track. And so I think when you are more clear about what you are, then the people, and you're clear with people around you, then they can decide to show up for you. But I wasn't clear. And then things started to change. And then he was doing the same thing somewhere else. And we just couldn't figure out how to do it together and people walk into relationships, friendships, business relationships, and marriages without being clear on who they are and where they're going. And that is the failure of most things. It's not that my ex-husband's a terrible guy, because that's not true. And it's not that we wanted different things. It's that we were not clear with the expectations of one another and how we were going to show up. And then other things happened, right? And knowing that makes it easier to live my life with him, even though it looks differently than what I thought it was going to look like when we got married, almost 15 years ago now.
I think that's the thing with a lot of things. We are, just so you know, this whole podcast is not about, that you should be selfish and you should be whatever. Hopefully what you're actually getting from it is that, yes, you, and it's weird. It's a double-edged sword, right? You have to be selfish in a certain way, like to be able to step back, to ask yourself the hard questions of what you want and what you need and, et cetera. But then with that selfishness comes the cap of, okay, now we have to go and be able to pour into other people, be vulnerable with other people, see what other, people want as well, and how we blend that out and make those relationships work in the long term, and how we, do that. But I think a lot of times people want it one way or the other way. They're like either so self-sacrificing and they don't have any idea and they're not doing any of the things to really make themselves live out the things that they want and the goals that they want financially and or otherwise, or they are doing the opposite way and they're super selfish and they're not considering anybody else's feelings or how any of them play into your world and into your space. And both are just really, really hard. But do you have any parting thoughts for any of our viewers?
Yeah, I say that we've talked a lot about relationships and leaning on people. So my parting thoughts are to serve others, be vulnerable on your needs, and show up for the people that are showing up for you. And I think when more people start doing that, you're going to see more success. So if you don't have that in your life, go find it. And if you do, love and serve them, and everybody will grow together.
Right. Well, it's been a pleasure. And, this is, again, Financial Mastery Simplified is not just about talking about mortgage or credit cards or credit or any of those things, although we will and do delve into all those kinds of topics. But remind yourself that mastering yourself financially is also mastering your whole life. There's lots of aspects to it and lots of importance to it. So we hope to see you again next week. And thanks for listening.
Absolutely.